Okay, so where were we? Right. This one worked just nicely. 177 caliber, shot just fine. This one leaked. No matter what I did, the seals appear to be pretty shot on it, and it's hard to find replacement parts. And this one doesn't leak. Put a cylinder in it, but there's something wrong with the trigger mechanism. It's not hitting hard enough to release any gas, so we have a problem there. What to do? Well, I guess you can always buy some beaten up wrecker guns to see if there's anything we can salvage from these. Oh dear, this probably won't end well. So yes, I've been a bad boy since a previous episode of mucking around with these Crosman 38Ts, which went out of production. The last ones went out of production in the early 1980s, and these ones are a bit earlier than that. This one is kind of interesting. Parts gun here, the grips don't match. It does have a rear sight, but it's the shorter rear sight, the plastic one, and yet the cylinder is actually metal, which, okay, I didn't think that was a combination. I thought when they went plastic, they went all plastic, but I guess not. So yeah, and this one is also, if you look at it closely here, the 22 caliber, and this is the 22 caliber version, which again implies an earlier gun, but you can see that's been sort of a little crudely, they've polished that area back where it no doubt said 177, and they've stamped in 22 in there, so this seems like a gun that was made from maybe leftover parts or something. So, but then again, who knows where it's been over the years. As I said, the grips don't even match. So, and this one here is an earlier 22 caliber gun, pretty badly beaten up. There is part of the rear sight here, which is something that I needed, and it does have the part I was trying to make myself. This little what do you call it? The feed for the pellet. Well, we'll see what this can maybe give us. The price was right, and I thought, well, hard to pass it up if there maybe might some parts in there that we can use. But again, these guns have a hard life in the hands of kids or tinkerers or whatever. This is obviously not original. Not original. Yeah, that's saying a bit. But yeah, we'll see if there's anything we can rescue from these to put into these two guns here that are stubbornly refusing to work properly. It's a bit of a long shot, but we'll give it a try. Hopefully we can get at least one of them going again. So both these 38Ts are in 22 caliber. This one has a metal cylinder, but this one has the metal top strap sight, and this one is plastic. So slight different versions here, and the trick is to see what we've got. What I'm going to do is install fresh seals in these guns and test them with a CO2 cylinder just to see if either of them actually hold gas and gives us a good valve. I think that's step number one. This one here, I notice when you cock it, the cylinder's not rotating, which is odd, but we'll find out what's going on when we get into that. So, all right, which one I'm going to take apart first? I'll start with this one, I think. Well, I can already tell that this one is not gonna hold gas. I can blow in this hole here and I can get air coming out. Somewhere here, probably at the valve, so probably the valve seat is shot. I can see somebody has probably tried to take that apart, maybe, I don't know. But it is probably worth getting inside the valve and finding out if there's anything that can be rescued. But yeah, this one leaks worse than the other one, so far not so good. Let's look at the other gun. And this other gun here appears to be older, but encouraging sign is when I got it, somebody had attached a laser sight to it, so had been shooting with it somewhat more recently. Although the other gun, when I got it, had a trigger lock stuck on it, so I had to cut that off to be able to find out whether I could get inside it or not. And yeah, so who knows how long I've been sitting with that trigger lock on. So unfortunately, all these polymers that are used to seal up these valves, they age. They become hardened and brittle, and the exact replacement parts just aren't available anymore. So I have to see what we can improvise or scrounge. Well, blowing through this one, or trying to blow through this one seems tight. So, yeah, we may have a good valve here. So, we'll see what we can do. I'm going to replace the seal in it and then put it back in the gun and see if we can hold gas. So, it's holding gas. There's no sounds of any leakage, despite the jury-rigged tightening bolt there. I guess these things must fall off on occasion, because you see things like that more often than you'd think. But I now have a .22 caliber Crosman 38T that has a good valve and wants to shoot. There's no point in putting pellets through or anything like that. I left out the loading gate there because I want to save a bit of time putting it back together again. Step one was just to see, will it go bang? And it does. Pretty potently too. Blows a hole right through this. So, yeah. Sad to say, I'm going to have to waste this cylinder. I hate doing that. But I can pull it apart and take the guts of this and put it into my other 22. I can also take the barrel off of this because that one has a shortened barrel. And I would love to salvage this rear sight. But part of it is broken off right here. But I do have the screws that go through, which were sadly a bit broken on the other one. So I've got some parts I can use here. So it's a win. Despite the fact this gun looking in pretty sorry shape, it does actually function, which is actually kind of best of both worlds because it's a pretty crappy looking gun, but I've got some good parts in it, so I guess it was worth buying it. What I'm applying here is a bit of a home remedy hack, which people advise is always something to try out if you've got a leaking pneumatic gun. Seals get hardened and brittle with age, just like they do apparently in an automatic transmission. So we have some transmission stop leak stuff here, and there's a O-ring buried in there, the main seal there, and we're going to just soak them in oil overnight and see if anything comes of it. That should do it. Alright, see what happens. Okay, so by stealing parts out of this old wreckage, mostly empty now inside there, I've been able to get this one working again, which, if you remember from the previous episode, this gun had its barrel cut back a bit for some somewhat unknown reason, maybe just to make the muzzle look more .38 caliber looking, which is probably not a great idea. But got a proper length barrel now, a valve that holds gas, and I've got a factory spec loading lever on there. So I've got a gun now I can have some fun with, and I'll try that one out and see how it shoots. This other wreckage here donated its valve. This is a different style gun than the previous one. This one has a transfer bar on it. So the valve stem is a bit longer, so the parts from this gun wouldn't have fit the other one anyway. That was a bit of a surprise. But anyway, I was able to get the valve mechanism out that actually was holding gas through this system here, and then I swapped out some parts internally, mixed and matched a few things. An O-ring was disintegrating, replaced that in it, and that all went into this gun here. And I have fired 36 shots through it without any trouble, so the next step is to remove the gas from it and have a little more fun with it. This gun belongs to a friend of mine. This is kind of what started me on this whole 38T thing, and he gave this gun to me to see if I could get it going again because it had been leaking gas, and ended up buying one of my own, and then two of my own actually, and this one continued to be a bit of a problem. So anyway, it's working now. So I asked him, since I have the parts, would he prefer this to be in its original 177 caliber, or would he like me to convert it to 22? Since I have a 22 barrel here, I've got the sleeve that's marked 22, and of course I've got the cylinder in 22 as well. And he said that was a no-brainer. Of course he wants it in 22. So next step is I'm going to swap the parts around and go from there. Well, wouldn't you know, I can't do it. I thought I could swap these over from 177 to 22. The barrel sleeves are the same. The cylinders fit in no problem at all. The valve is exactly the same assembly. There's no difference there. But for some bizarre reason, Crosman used a different pin to anchor the cylinder. This has to go through the cylinder axis pin right here. And that goes into the frame like so. But the 22 caliber one has a smaller hole through it. The inner core is steel, so you'd have to use the other pin, this one here. But that one will not thread into this frame. You know, when it goes into threading, there's a different pitch, much finer on this one than that. So these aren't interchangeable, which means you can't swap out the cylinders. So I have to put it back as a 177. Oh well, at least he's got a gun that works, that's what matters. Okay, so I now have two fully functioning Crosman 38Ts. This one I've already tested, chronographed, and shot with last time. That was back in episode 11, and this one did pretty well. But I felt kind of sad that I couldn't get the 22 caliber version going. Well, now I have. It's gassed up with a fresh cylinder in it. I've got the chronograph set up over here, just off camera, and we're going to see how it performs. I'm going to try 3 pellets through it. These are some Diana branded JSBs. These are 15.89 grains, so yeah. These are Excite hammers. These are fairly affordable dome pellets from H&N, their budget line. And I thought it might be kind of fun to try what this gun was originally designed for, the Crosman Super Pals. I still have some left from goodness knows when I got these, so yeah, haven't gone through them because they're, I don't know, their better pellets have come since then, of course, including the very nice Crosman Premiers as well. So I'm going to switch on the chronograph and set up the camera for it and see how we can do. Two 7, 271, 276, 277, 283. Okay. Let's try Excite hammers. Okay. 2 87, 89, 91, 84, 272, one more, 85, 273. Now let's try those super bells. This little bag is pretty well sized, so. These are a little easier than the round head ones for sure. Going just nicely. Okay, so that's 5. Let's see how we do. Three. That's missed. That's 260, just going to flush off. 3. These guys are again low. 245. 3. 3. The problem with the chronograph is keeping the lights on it healthy. They're little battery operated ones. Can't use AC because they flicker. And yeah. But I think we have an idea of how it does or did. So yeah, in the upper 280s, which is lower than I thought it would be. But next step is we'll take it to the range, and even though I have only half a rear sight, we'll see if I can shoot it half decently. We'll go from there. So here I am back at the range on a rather chilly day, and I had forgetfully left the bag with the gun and the CO2 cylinders in the trunk of my car for quite a number of hours. And the CO2, of course, doesn't perform well at about 10 degrees Celsius. But I tried a few shots here offhand. Noticed they were a little bit slower than they should have been, but my biggest problem was the rear sight. I thought I could shoot decently well with only half a rear sight, but clearly I'm throwing my shots left and right wide. And all the groups I did showed that. I did try bench resting it here. The first group was offhand. This one is bench rested. Marginally better. Again, spreading the shots left to right too much. So, yeah. Next step will be to try to figure out how to repair that broken off rear sight there. It's not going to be easy getting that piece out and making a new one for it. I don't think there's anywhere where I can find one unless I score another wreckage gun that happens to have that part intact. But again, it's been a lot of fun messing around with these guns. They do perform quite well. They do feel nice in the hand. They do behave like a target revolver should. So I can see where Crosman saw them as a training tool back in the day, as I discussed in the episode 11. But yeah, there's still more fun ahead. I do have to make those few minor repairs to it, and yeah, I'm glad I've got them. Anyway, thanks for watching. Canuck Air will be back with more fun things. Consider subscribing.